What's up, guys? Illegal Defense, episode 15. We're gonna get right into the NFL scene. We have some recaps that we're gonna get into. First game that we have is the Dolphins versus the Chargers. So the Dolphins went obviously to the Chargers. They lost 17 to 23. Tough fought game, but I think that the Chargers are I think we spoke about this last week and we spoke about how this could be like kind of a gimme game and we saw Justin Herbert perform well. Tua kind of struggled a little bit, even though they did seem to like have a lot of things work in their favor. The Chargers just seem to just get out on top in this game.
Yeah, Chargers, we said previewing this game, um, it was odd the Chargers weren't favored, but it was probably because of how, much they've kind of blown games as of late.
Right.
And the Dolphins seemed like the much more consistent team. But yeah, talked about the potential of Justin Herbert and just, him being able to win games. That's exactly what he did against the Dolphins. He closed out that drive to put them ahead late. The Dolphins, like you said, they had some things going. They struggled a bit. For the Dolphins, kind of disappointing. That's two losses in a row that they probably should have, put themselves in better position to win those games to come away with it. As one of the teams that going down the stretch is, fighting for one of the better positions in the playoffs. But yeah, they lose this game. And none much more to say. Considering it's not a bad loss. It's kind of you shot
It's
yourself in the foot kind of
yeah,
loss.
it's
Like
not a good loss at
they
all
were
either.
well within striking distance. I mean, they were up even. They were up late to be able to win the game. They just couldn't hold the Chargers off, and they continued to not be able to capitalize on some third down plays on offense and some other things. I mean, look, even one of their scores was that weird Tyreek
Fumble
Hill where
recover.
yeah where he picks up the ball and shoots into the end zone all the way down the field.
It's
So
crazy.
yeah, not a very good performance by the Dolphins. They'll need to clean that up, but they're still in solid position to make the playoffs certainly. And for the Chargers, on the Chargers side of things, it's a huge win because they're a team that they have been, almost like the Dolphins as of late. They've been shooting themselves in the foot kind of all year, off and on with it, and they're putting themselves right in the hunt for a wild card spot
For a
here
playoff spot.
in a
Yeah.
division where they have no shot of catching the Chiefs really, but they can make it a wild card, and they're the only team in their division that was supposed to be one of the better divisions. The Broncos and Raiders are kind of long gone from this,
Right.
considering all the other players here. So, yeah, the Chargers are certainly going to be able to make their case, and if they could rattle off some few wins late here, they could slide into the playoffs where they could have a chance to make some noise with the play of Herbert and the return of Keenan
Keenan
Allen.
Allen. Yeah, I think it'll be nice to see Justin Herbert in the playoffs. Just to I feel like if they do get into the playoffs, that's kind of like a dark horse team. But obviously once we get to the playoffs, we'll talk about what teams we feel are kind of underrated in that sense. The next game that we have is the Ravens versus the Steelers. Ravens took care of business and they beat the Steelers 16 to 14. Kind of a typical Ravens Steelers game, very gritty game. The Ravens were without Lamar Jackson. J.K. Dobbins came back, had a big game, great game to come back on, and just kind of revitalize that run game. A lot of the past couple of weeks, the Ravens haven't really had an identity in their offense, which is kind of weird. Coming like with them coming off of a bye week, then they go against the Jags. They weren't able to really take care of business to the degree that they wanted to, and the offense struggled a little bit. So this game was really good to see that J.K. Dobbins was able to get back on track. Although Lamar wasn't there, Huntley was able to do his thing. He was able to be effective with the ball, and just great to see the Ravens back on top with the win against the Steelers.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, missing Lamar, they get JK back. The Ravens are able to handle business there. big win for the Ravens because, like you said, they have been missing that identity, right? They haven't been able to lean on that run game as a consistent advantage for them, like they have been in most recent years. And like clockwork, J.K. Dobbins comes back, and the run game becomes their bread and butter again, which it should be. Unfortunately, Lamar is out, so it'd be nice to get them both in the fold. But luckily for them, that seems like maybe a possibility as we creep toward the playoffs. The stars might align in a sense for them to have both of them back, and that would be interesting to see how they really play off each other when they're both out there on the field and really open up that offense. But look, Ravens somewhat underwhelmingly have tied for the second best record in the AFC. Not a lot of talk about that, but yeah, they're 9-4. The team that they're tied with in their division is the Bengals. They're the only other 9-4 team, and they have the tiebreaker over them.
Right.
So right now, the Ravens are sitting in a pretty good position. What looked like at times this season was a rocky road for them. Seems like all should be fine, and probably the most important thing is just getting all the flow of everything going, and all their main guys healthy, so they can be in prime position once the playoffs roll around to kind of make another run here.
Right. Yeah, it'll be good to see everybody healthy, especially Lamar in the playoffs. It's something that, it's going to be heavily evaluated prior to this contract that he may be able to get. So the next game that we have is the Texans versus the Cowboys. Texans actually put up a fight, 23-27. They did lose against the Cowboys. But they were up at some points in this game, and it was kind of a weird game for the Cowboys.
The Texans were either close or winning the entire game. It took a last minute drive by the Cowboys for them to pull out the win here. We talked about how that plus 17 with the Texans was pretty surprising. When you look at all the games for the Texans, and we talked about it on here that seems like they were all close. I looked at it before throwing in bets, and they were all very close games that the Texans were in. And I was like, okay, this plus 17 is a lock here. And sure enough, not only did the plus 17 cover easily, they almost won the game outright.
Mm.
So, yeah, look, like we said, the Cowboys, that's the thing with some of these teams, right? Some of the bigger name teams, some of the big market teams, when you have a Cowboys, when you look at Alabama football in college, when you look at the Yankees or any of these big name teams, Vegas takes advantage of that. They'll juice up the spreads, especially when the Cowboys came off of back-to-back outings where they really
Explosive offensive
yeah, explosive
performance in both games.
yeah, and dominating defense. Both games just really dominated those teams. So, yeah, this one kind of wasn't that hard to see coming, but yeah, look, good for the Cowboys. They were able to squeak out the win here, and they need the wins, right? Like the Eagles keep rolling. I don't know if the Cowboys are gonna catch them. I don't think so.
Yeah,
Right?
it's not looking
It
like it,
doesn't
no.
look like that's gonna be a possibility. But you have both the Giants and Redskins. They're still battling to get in, and with the other teams in the NFC, you want to keep winning so you can at least be the top wild card team and not fall back a few spots. So important win for them. The Texans, look, the NFL for many reasons is known for its parity at this point, and this is the type of game that kind of shows that off. That a team like the Texans can hang in there with a team that like the Cowboys with a pretty good offense, a dominating defense, and the difference in this game comes down to a handful of plays, and that's it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So yeah, that was definitely an interesting game to watch, just in general, just to see the Cowboys almost lose again, which is in Cowboys fashion. But